So good morning, January 1st, 2023, a new year. And I came out this morning early because I wanted to address what happened yesterday while it was still fresh in my mind. So let me just explain what happened. So early in the morning on the 31st, on New Year's Eve, early in the morning, there was a wave of drone attacks in Kiev. Anti-aircraft, very good about taking it out and dispatching it. But unlike other attacks, this had been something that was in the center of the city on a really important holiday. And to have your morning on New Year's Eve interrupted by explosions of anti-aircraft blowing drones out of the sky as they descended on the center of the Capitol was, a little disconcerting. Spent the day with my camera and my helmet nearby, trying to distract myself in whatever way I possibly could. So a lot of YouTube and movies and, I tried to get through a movie, video game playing, that kind of stuff. And that's when I missed the radio program I normally do on Saturdays with Hal. So sorry about that, guys. Then what happened in the evening? Well, the evening got nuts. The evening was, and just to reiterate, throughout New Year's Eve, we'd been under air raid siren constantly. We had the attacks in the morning, sirens throughout the day, warnings of like, hey, this is real. This is a very serious attack, seek shelter. But the idiot that I am, of course, this is the responsibility I've taken upon myself to document what happens here. I just slapped on my helmet and grabbed my camera, kind of going from balcony to balcony. Thankfully I have those, scanning the skies. Anyhow, evening rolls around, and that's when things were really much more intense. I would say I was hearing anti-aircraft fire every 20 minutes or so. Something would come in and, boom, 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 lighting up the sky. And you were glad to have those. But it's still a disconcerting sound. And doesn't put yourself at ease. I visibly saw a couple of explosions in the sky of drones exploding, as I had earlier in the morning on the 31st. I heard an impact down approximately actually kind of where I'm walking down to. And I want to see if there's any impact or damage. I saw smoke rising from down here. I did not come running out because even though I do have my military accreditation, and by rights I could have, but it's curfew at that hour. We're talking around 10:30 at night, roughly 11. And then really after midnight, after the New Year's, they just coming in hard and fast, just boom, boom, boom. There was an explosion down this way, and I could see smoke rising. As I say, I didn't come down even though I could have, because at that time we were still under curfew. And frankly, the hassle of getting down here, having to explain who I am, what I'm doing, would have been probably, self-defeating. And also, it's just a pain in the ass to do. It was cold, it was dangerous. Anyhow, I don't see any damage where I'm walking down, which is Lev Tolstoy Station in the center of Kiev, and I don't see anything, no clear damage that I can see. I am told by a friend that the explosion, and the reason why I saw the smoke was because something knocked debris off of a building that then collapsed onto a car, and that's what caused the explosion. No, I don't see anything outwardly, but it could be on a little side street somewhere. I don't know. I could go searching for it, but it's not really relevant, and the agencies and the news guys will get to it. Again, I'm trying to give you context. So let me give you that context as I walk back towards my apartment and grab some breakfast. And let me do it right here on Lev Tolstoy Square. So look, I've been under fire plenty of times before, and I know the reason for attacking and using military force. Oftentimes, you're trying to attack your enemy. That can come in a number of different ways. When I was in Lviv, for example, I understood. I didn't agree with the attacks on the railway system, but I understood the strategic importance of doing that. Arguably, you can even make the point that there's a strategic interest in knocking out the electricity grid, or, well, really just the electricity grid. Command and control, that affects command and control. Telecoms as well, that's a semi-legitimate military objective, but it has to be, at least in part militarily intended. You're trying to win a military victory. The principle is armed forces against armed forces. It's when you start engaging in civilian damage willfully and purposefully that we start to get into the war crimes area. Now, yesterday, what I experienced yesterday was a clear terror attack. There was absolutely no military reason for what they did yesterday. They were striking indiscriminately in the Capitol. A command and control objective defense of what they did yesterday is negligible. And they know it, and we all know it, and anybody who makes that argument is being disingenuous. See, I gotta also understand the importance of New Year's and what New Year's means on the calendar of a lot of different post-Soviet nations. The communists who came into power under the Bolsheviks hated all things religious, or so they said. So they banned it outright. Of course, you can't have Christmas without, Jesus and, the religiosity of Christmas. And the Ukrainians and Russians are deeply religious people, historically. So they changed it all onto New Year's. All the trappings of Christmas, which they knew they couldn't get the people to abandon completely, they just transferred to New Year's. So gift giving, the tree, a Santa-like figure, lights, then mixed in with New Year's trappings of fireworks and, turning the chapter from one year to the next. They just rolled it all into one. New Year's quickly became the most important date on the calendar. And for many in the post-Soviet space, despite themselves, that's still very much true. So for them to have attacked on New Year's Eve into New Year's Day, in an attack directly aimed at the people of Ukraine, it was a message. It was sending a message. There was no military reason to do what they did yesterday and into the new year. By definition, that means, to my mind, it was an act of terror. It was terrorism. I have seen the Russian military machine working in many different arenas. I have seen them and how they conduct war. I don't agree with attacking the railway system out in Lviv, for example, back at the beginning of the war, but I could see the argument could be made, despite my protestation, that railways were a legitimate military target. Okay, all right, fine. Why then attack passenger rail stations as opposed to industrial, but yada, yada, yada. I could even, to a certain extent, go with attacking the power grid or the telecommunications network, because in so doing you are also attacking command and control. I don't agree with it in practice, as opposed to making a cold argument in a debate. We could discuss that. What they did yesterday had no military objective. It was not aimed at a civilian infrastructure that could be used for military purposes or had strategic interest. There was one reason for yesterday's attacks, and that was to send a message to the Ukrainian people that even on this very most important day of the year, we will attack you, we will cause you harm. The missiles, the drones that were shot at us, they were pretty much easily put down. They were ineffectual, but they sent the message I think the Kremlin intended to send, and that was to intimidate, frighten, and terrorize the Ukrainian people. By its very definition, an act of terrorism. But we will still be here in 2023. We will resist them. The Ukrainians I know, and that I am already seeing online in reaction to yesterday's attack, is the absolute opposite of what the Russians or the Kremlin or the armed forces of the Russian Federation may have wanted to achieve. It has steeled their resolve, it has angered them, and it has instilled them with a sense that in this coming year, they must resist Russian aggression and occupation, because Russia has no interest in the rights or the well-being of the Ukrainian people, just the submission of them, which is unacceptable to the people here. So in 2023, I say, Slava Ukraini, Geroyam Slava.